All right, everyone. So this month, strength and stretch, our strength and skill workout. We are going to start with a 20-minute, every minute on the minute strength workout. And then we're going to finish with a stretch. You can separate these on different days if you want, or it'll take sort of a 30-minute, maybe a little bit more to finish it all together. And you can do it 1 or 2 times a week. Okay, so the strength EMOM, you're going to do 5 rounds of each movement, and you're going to build in weight. So there's sort of a little bit of a warm up sort of built into the workout for each one or each one of the movements. So you don't necessarily have to do a workup to it before you start your EMOM. So we're going to start with strict press. So 5 strict presses, then 10 controlled core twists, 5 single leg deadlifts on one side. You can go with whatever side you want. I put left first, and then 5 on the other side for the next minute. Okay, so there's going to be lots of rest in there. Like I said, start light or start easy, and then you can build throughout the 5 rounds of everything. Okay, so quickly going over strict press. So you could use barbell or dumbbells. So what we want to make sure is everything from the belly button down is squeezed. Okay, so you're breathing into that core 360 breath. You're squeezing your butt, you're squeezing your quads, everything's nice and tight. Okay, if I'm using a barbell, I'd be a little harder position, but you have to stabilize less from side to side. So elbows we want just ever so slightly in front of the bar. Okay, if we have them behind the bar, the first thing we're going to do is press out. So just slightly in front of the bar, tuck that head out of the way, and then press as close to your face as possible. Finishing in that best overhead position, so trying to lock the elbows, not chicken pecking, but letting the head come back to the natural position. And then finishing with that bar, sorry, you can't really quite see that, bar straight over my shoulders, not pressed back too much or not to this position. Again, this might look a little differently depending on your shoulder mobility overhead, but you're going to finish there, and then you're going to tuck that head out of the way, elbows sort of come in front a little bit on the way down. You're going to just come back down to your collarbones and then press back up. Okay, so you want to, as far as breathing, I would take a big breath at the start, press, and then rest at the top, breathe in nice and tight, come down, and then straight up to the next. And rather than resting the bottom, that'll sort of take that power out of it. Okay, same idea with dumbbells. It's just you have to stabilize side to side, but it's not as hard in that bottom front rack position. So elbows aren't way in front. Again, they're just ever so slightly in front of the wrists. Okay, everything else stays the same. Shoulders back and down, pressing up to your bent over position. Like I said, you have to stabilize side to side as well as front to back, and then back down. Okay, if overhead position isn't good for you, then change this to a push-up or a bench press instead, and you can just message me if you need some extra explanation for that. Then the controlled core twist. So you can do this with or without, there's weight. There's ways to progress this without weight. Be light with the weight. Don't start too aggressively. You might do the whole workout. The first time you do this might be without weight. It might be without weight all the way through. Okay. So first option, we're just sort of getting into a little bit of a lean back sit. Feet on the ground, knees here. Okay, big 360 breath. And then all we're doing is trying to reach my hands down to one side. You can see I'm not quite there, I don't have quite that rotation, but one side, and then turn on the other side, and back and forth. I say control because I don't want you guys going crazy fast between here. I want you to really think about breath and really think about that rotation and see how far you can get. And then back to the other side. So sort of 5 per side, 10 total, okay? So this is one option. You can also increase the difficulty by raising one leg, okay? Or raising, barely do it, raising both legs, even in a bent position first, and then extending and doing that same position. So that's increasing the difficulty without weight. Obviously, I can hold the weight in any one of those positions. So this would be a little too hard for me to do it at all. So maybe as I progress, I do it without weight, and then maybe I grab like a just little 5-pound plate and get your side to side. Maybe that's where I'm sitting for the first couple of times that I do it, and then maybe I can start extending one leg or bringing the knees in or whatever. Okay, so you can progress with weight and or the difficulty of the bottom legs. Okay, and then single leg deadlift. You can grab a single dumbbell, kettlebell, plate, barbell, whatever you want. I don't care if you hold it in the same leg as you're standing on, the opposite leg, or hold it with both hands. I like this version, whatever makes sense for you, okay? We're focusing on control and range of motion over the weight first, okay? So you're going to want to balance on the leg, then kick that other leg back, allow this knee to bend, okay? And just come to your end range. Maybe it's sort of there, and then you can come up without falling over. Don't be worried if 1 week this feels off and then next week it's fine. It might change a little bit depending on what you're doing, how you're feeling that day, but just try to keep control and then back up, okay? I'd rather you be nice and slow and controlled and only come to here rather than come down to the bottom and then come out of it and try to do that 5 times, okay? So take your time on these, still breathing and bracing. We're extending that other leg just to create some tension and coming back. The other thing I want you to focus on, if that's good, is making sure your hips stay square. So sometimes we come to this position, we come down and then like we rotate out, or you can see I just fell over, or we rotate in and we're all over the place. So try not to let yourself open up to get that range and then come back up. Try to keep those hips square as you're coming down and coming up. And you're just doing 5, 1 minute, taking a break, and then 5 the other minute. Okay, depending on how slow or controlled you are, it might be most that minute, that's okay. Again, we can progress this with the weight. Maybe we need to regress it to start with and just have like a kickstand. So if doing even that without any weight, you're feeling like you're all over the place, just sort of kickstand that other foot just on the tippy toe for some stability, and then reaching that butt back and then coming up. Don't forget to breathe and brace. Sometimes when you have that kickstand, it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, this is easy. And then when you pick it up, there's no core there. So make sure you're breathing and bracing, reaching that back and coming up and just using that other leg as little as you need for stability and balance, okay? And then don't worry about any weight, or just have something really light so you can just hold on to something, okay? And notice one side's gonna be stronger than the other side. Work to the weight or the difficulty of the easier side. Don't try to do one really high and one really low, okay? So each week, you can just sort of progress where you start with or do bigger jumps, okay? So maybe as an example, my first week of strict presses, I'm gonna build to 35 pounds, okay? Starting with like, this is a 15-pound bar, and build to 35 pounds by the time I've done my 5th round. And then maybe next week, I still start with a bar, but maybe I do a little bigger jumps, and I do to 40 pounds. Okay, that's gonna be a big jump in a press. 5 pounds is a lot of weight. Okay, so sometimes you might just have to stick there for a while. Remember, you can always add tempo. So if you're like, oh, I can do 40, no problem, but 45, I'm just not there yet. Then just do 40 and just add a little slowness on the way down. Okay, maybe it's 3 seconds, and the next time you do it, maybe it's 5 seconds. But don't forget about tempo to make it harder if you don't have those in between weights, or if you don't have much weight to work with. Okay. And then after you're done that, or on another day, our stretching routine is just going to be a 10-minute line rotation series. So I'll show you each one. Each one you're going to hold or do for a minute. So it should take you 10 minutes total. There's 5 different variations or movements on one side, and then you switch and you do it all on the other side. Okay, so the first one would be one you guys are familiar with, I'm sure. So you're going to set yourself up with your shoulders stacked, your hips, your knees, and your feet all stacked. Knees are in about 90, so the knees should be right across from my belly button or my hips. I'm going to anchor with my bottom arm, other arm's reaching forward. I'm going to take a good breath in, and then exhale. I'm going to follow with my eyes and open up, keeping my knees together and on the ground. Don't be worried if this comes off. Okay, that might happen. And then inhale, come back. Exhale, open. Inhale, come back. So you'll do that for about a minute, might be 5 to 10, depending on how you're breathing. I would rather you breathe slower and go slower. Okay, and then once you've done that for a minute, now you're just gonna hang out in this open position, still sort of looking in the direction of your hand. If this feels really tight, grab yourself a block to put under the shoulder so the body can relax, or put it under the hand or whatever you need, so the body can actually relax a little bit and you're not like, oh my God, is this minute up yet? Okay, we want your body to open up and unwind. You can have your hands still here, or you can just be more passive and have the hand out in this position. Okay, so a minute there. And then we're going to do a minute of pretzel. So this one, you're probably going to need blocks, or I definitely need blocks. And you might also need a little band. I do because I can't quite hold on to my foot. So you're going to stay in that same position. You're going to put the band or grab your bottom foot, so that leg that's underneath. Okay, that's going to come back extended. And I'm going to use, because again, this is a little tight for me, I'm going to use a block underneath sort of where my knee was. Okay, so I'm going to grab that, squeeze my butt and try to extend my knee down, still anchoring that bottom knee. And then from here, you can see I'm like up here, I'm not relaxed yet. So I'm going to take my breath in and then exhale, relax and open up. Take a breath in, come out of it. Exhale, relax and open up. And I'm just going to wind myself into this. You can either continue doing that for the full minute or do a few and then just sort of settle in. On my other side, and maybe I should do it on both sides, I actually need a little support for my head because it's a little tighter. So maybe I put that support under my head and then relax and open up. And inhale and relax and open up. And then I would just, like I said, hang out here for the remainder of a minute, or just keep on doing that open and close with your breath. Okay. After you're done that one, then we're going to just roll onto our back. Again, I like to use a block for this because my hips are tight. So I'm going to put my block on a higher setting. You're going to walk your feet out a little wider than the shoulder. One ankle is going to come up over the knee, and then that knee is going to internally rotate, the hips internal rotating, and just relaxing. Again, the reason I'm using my block is so my body can relax and feel safe in this position. If I don't use that block, then I'm sitting here really tight because my knee's not going to touch the ground. Okay, so it lets it have a little base of support. As I get more flexible, I can turn it on to the lower side, but this is where I'm at right now. And you're just going to hang out here for a minute, okay? And then we're going to come up and bring that top leg over to the side. So the other hip is in external rotation. You can have a little pressure on that knee if you want, or just lie in that open position. Again, maybe you need a block to go under that top foot because it's a little too tight to get all the way down. You decide, blocks are great. Pillows also work, rolled up towels, okay? And then you're just going to hang out here for a minute. So I feel this in that other side of that hip, okay? And then I'm going to do the whole thing on the other side. So my tracing, my opening up and my holding, okay, relaxing. Then my pretzel movement, okay, that's going to be the awkward one, hard one. And then I'm going to lie on my back. I'm going to bring my other ankle over, internal rotation, external rotation. Okay, that one might take a little bit if you're not used to the line rotation stuff. It just might take a little bit for you to like figure all that kind of stuff out, but it'll feel really good afterwards. So that's it. As always, let me know if you have any questions. You can send me your videos or comment for questions. Yeah, have fun. And this is what we're doing for the month.